There's a frail old lady stereotype many of us have about women who are widowed. She's characterized as someone who'll need extensive assistance from other people, either her grown children or some sort of institutional help. And while some widows are in fact frail and elderly and do need outside assistance, the U.S. Census Bureau tells us that the average age a wife becomes a widow is 59, and half of those widows outlive their male spouses by 15 to 30 years. That means women need to consider financial planning before they become widowed, so that they have the money they need to survive when their partner is gone. When you're faced with widowhood, it's a very emotionally charged time, and many things, including many very important financial decisions, are thrust at you all at once. You'll be dealing with changing income and expenses, changing assets and liabilities, and possibly even finding out about liabilities you didn't know about. There are some critical financial decisions you may need to be making right away when your spouse passes. For example, if there's life insurance involved, should you receive your payout as an annuity or as a lump sum? Most people think lump sum when they think of life insurance payouts, but taking the annuity option could give you a stream of income, and potentially one that would never run out, depending on how you decided to receive it. At the moment you need to make the choice, lots of people will have lots of opinions on what you should do. That's why it's so important to get really good counsel on what's best for your particular situation, because once you make that decision, you can't take it back. And then there's the spousal IRA you may be inheriting that you'll need to make some decisions on as well. And it's another decision you can't take back. Many people think, what decision needs to be made? Just put it in your own name and treat it like your own. And that is an option. But what if you're under age 59 and a half and you need the money now from your deceased spouse's IRA, say for a house or college or some other big expense? If you put the IRA in your own name and you take the money out before you reach age 59 and a half, you're subject to a 10% penalty on the money that you're taking. If you instead leave the IRA in the original spouse's name, you can avoid that 10% penalty. You'll also have to make sure to update all of your beneficiary designations. If you've named your spouse as the beneficiary of your IRA or a life insurance policy, for example, you'll need to change things so that your assets are passed on to whoever you choose, rather than risking them being held up in probate and having your state's rules determine who gets what. If you have children, you'll also be making big decisions around their futures. If you and your spouse had planned to pay for college, did you have a contingency plan to still do that if one of you passed away? Know that some colleges consider a large portion of any insurance benefits from a deceased spouse should be used to pay for your children's education and not for your own maintenance and support. If your children are minors, do you have a guardianship agreement in place that's still relevant? And will you still need life insurance? Maybe not if your children are grown and no longer your dependents. If you are older when you become widowed and are no longer in the workforce, you have many of the same issues as the younger widow, but now you also have some additional or maybe different challenges. For example, if your spouse was collecting on his or her pension before death, the amount coming to you will now be less. Same with Social Security benefits. If you were already both collecting benefits, you'll have to adjust to the fact that you'll now have just one check coming into your household instead of two. And while the experts advise not to make any big moves immediately after the death of a spouse, we all know that moving away is heavy on many widows' minds, and that move could cost or save you money. Finally, what about medical costs and potential long-term care needs? As we age, we know healthcare costs tend to go up, which is an added challenge if you're now facing a reduced income as a widow. Ideally, you're having these courageous conversations with your family and your financial planner before you're faced with the crisis of widowhood. Planning in advance can help you with peace of mind around your money and keep you from making costly mistakes when you're in a period of